Hello, and the title of today's talk is Death to Socialism/Marxism and Long Live Anarcho-Monarchism. And so I've had this discussion previously, but I just can't hammer it home often enough. Socialism is state worship. It is the worship of the state over God, and the reason it fails is because it is a rejection of God, and it is embracing the state in God's stead. And the state is the domain of man. It is the domain of the beast. It is not the domain of science. It is not the domain of the universe. It is not the domain of knowledge. And how do you expect to have knowledge? How do you expect to be able to move about and operate in the world without God, without a connection to the source, without a reverence for the creator of the universe himself? I was watching a televangelist recently, and he said something that I agreed with so strongly, I just couldn't help myself. I had to start clapping, clapping for the TV. And he said, if you don't believe in God, then you know nothing. And I have no reason to talk to you at all. I have no reason to associate with you at all. Because God is the universe. So if you reject God, you're rejecting the universe. You're rejecting knowledge. You're rejecting the whole. You're rejecting everything that exists. And so we have our socialists, our atheist socialists, who wander around for decades and they know nothing about the world. They know nothing about where their food comes from. They know nothing about the strength of the sun. They know nothing about energy and motion and thermodynamics. They know nothing about manufacturing. They know nothing about economics, nothing about business, nothing about anything. They couldn't tell you anything about anything. All they can tell you about is Republicans are bad and Democrats are good. Left equals good. Right equals bad. Business equals bad. Government equals good. That's all they know. That's all they're ever gonna know. You could give them internet access for 20 years, and that's all they're ever gonna learn. That's all they're ever gonna know. And do you know why I know that's the case? Because we've ran the experiment in real life. We've already ran the numbers. We've already done real world testing. You could give these billion atheist socialists full internet access for 100 years, 1 billion people internet access for 100 years, and none of them will ever learn anything about anything. It's not gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. And why is this the case? Because they have angrily rejected the source. They have angrily rejected God himself. And so why would God reveal any answers to them? Why would God tell them a single thing? Why would God give them an ounce of wisdom if they have dedicated their life to rejecting him and to embrace the beast, to embrace man? They exalt man over God, and so God is disgusted with them, rightfully so. And I am too. I'm equally as disgusted with atheists. Agnostics, I can kind of warm up to. I don't have too much of a problem with them. I would actually consider I was agnostic until maybe 2015, and then I came back to Christianity. I was raised Christian, and then I went through an atheist phase. I'll admit it. I went through an atheist phase for like 6 months. It was really short. I promise you. All of the edgy kids were like, God doesn't exist. God doesn't exist. So I went through that phase very, very shortly, and then I went right back to agnostic very quickly. Because how can you deny science? How can you deny the creator? How can you deny the universe as it exists, as we experience it, as we enjoy it, as we interact with it? How can you reject all of that and just say, oh, it's some grand accident? It's all some grand accident. We're a cosmic joke. We're all just a cosmic joke on on a stone hurtling through space. The most depressing and nihilistic worldview you could possibly imagine. And an incorrect one, an objectively incorrect one. So I'm getting off track here. I wanted to talk about socialism / Marxism versus anarcho-monarchism, which is where we are headed, which is what my system is. So socialism fails because it rejects God, but also, furthermore, it fails because it puts all of society into one cult, into one institution, into one monopoly. And if you've ever taken an economics class, if you've ever talked to a single businessman if you're in your life, if you've ever discussed any business with anyone anywhere, they will tell you that monopolies are bad for society. They will tell you that monopolies reduce freedom, and monopolies are harmful to the consumer, harmful to society in general. So what does the socialists do in their grand wisdom, in their infinite knowledge? They say, we should use our guns and use our power and use our fascist force to force everyone into one institution, into one monopoly, into one cult, a dangerous cult. And if you try and leave that cult, the cult kills you. If you don't pay the cult money, the cult kills you. If you don't give the cult your business, your life's work, it kills you. If you don't give the cult your house, if you don't give the cult all your data and privacy, if you don't give your cult your never-ending worship, the cult will kill you. They'll kill all of you. That's what the cult does. That's what socialism does. It kills, it kills, it kills. It steals and it kills and it destroys. It doesn't build, it doesn't create, it doesn't learn anything. It doesn't acquire knowledge. It is a beast. It is a despicable beast that needs to be put down. We need to slit the throat of that beast as soon as possible. Let it bleed out and cheer. We need to bathe in the blood of the beast that we have slit its throat of. And it is vile. It is disgusting. It has destroyed the 20th century. It has destroyed my life. It has destroyed your life. It has destroyed our lives. The beast of socialism has destroyed all of our lives. And what do we get in return? We get Social Security and roads. That's what we get. That's all we get. That's all we're ever going to get from the beast. And property taxes and taxation and all that other stuff, it's going to take 65% of your Social Security money anyway. And if you invested that Social Security money into the stock market, you probably would have had 5 times, 10 times more money than the government's going to give back to you with inflation and all the other counterfeiting bullshit. It's just bullshit upon bullshit. It's lies upon lies. It's violence upon violence. It's monopoly upon monopoly. It is not fit to exist. Socialism is never fit to exist. Not now, not today, not 100 years ago, not tomorrow. Definitely not tomorrow. And so, what is anarcho-monarchism, you ask? Well, it is a federation of kingdoms. There could be hundreds of kingdoms, there could be thousands of kingdoms. It doesn't matter. The more the merrier. Who cares? Let everyone have independence. Let everyone have freedom. Let all the institutions under that kingdom have freedom, have independence. Let everyone have 0% income tax. Let everyone have 0% payroll tax. The beautiful thing about monarchy, which people don't understand, is in a democracy you have to buy votes. You have to buy millions of votes. You're buying off millions upon millions upon millions of people. Why do you think Joe Biden got elected? Why? No one likes Joe Biden. No one is inspired by Joe Biden. What did Joe Biden do correctly? What did he do properly? He bought millions of votes, tens of millions of votes. Non-essential positions is what he is buying. All of those non-essential people voted for Joe Biden because they're terrified of losing their non-essential position, their parasite class position. And a monarchist, an honest monarchist, an honest monarchy is a lean, mean fighting machine of a government. This is a feature, not a bug, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about a institution that is 5% of GDP in my system. and it can still afford to pay out a $360 a month UBI with 5% of GDP. Now, government today is over 50% of GDP, like 55% of GDP, and our UBI is $0 a month. We are taxed at nearly 50%. If you include property tax, if you include all this other stuff, we're being taxed at probably over 50%. The poor are taxed at 50%. The upper middle class, like doctors and physicians and stuff, they're taxed at like 65-70%. And do we get a UBI from that money? Do we see anything from that money? No. We see roads and we see Social Security. That's all we get. That's all we're ever going to get until we overthrow this sick, disgusting, evil system we call representative democracy. I'm okay with direct democracy. Direct democracy is fine. It has its place. It is tyranny prevention. I think democracy in its best form is tyranny prevention. But it really can't do anything more than that. The mob cannot think. I've said this before in videos. The collective is not capable of thinking or making decisions. The mob is capable of saying, we don't want tyranny. We don't want oppression. We reject your tyranny. We reject your oppression. We reject your leadership, right? Democracy is capable of withdrawing consent. Democracy is capable of giving consent. But democracy cannot really make decisions. That's something it doesn't do. That's something it can't do. And so it needs to give that decision-making process to some kind of sovereign, right? Or, even better, I even prefer this more, and it's giving the decision-making process to the market, to financial markets, to employees, to bosses, because then the boss is the master of his own destiny. It's not the tyranny of the majority. It's not the constant arguing and battling and the division and conflict that democracy creates. In the market, you can walk away from a business. You can walk away from a product or service. You can walk away from an offer or a deal. That is an unbelievable power that democracy can never give you, that anarcho-monarchism can never give you, and that socialism absolutely abhors. Socialism hates the market because the market empowers the individual. Socialism does not want the individual empowered. Socialism does not want the independent institution empowered. Socialism wants everyone disempowered, lied to, abused, beaten, poor, oppressed, alone, divided, scared, in pain, on the verge of homelessness. This is what socialism wants. And look at where we are right now. This is all from socialism. This is all from socialists. They're doing it on purpose. They want to destroy society because they hate themselves and they've rejected God. This is the truth, and you know it's the truth. But I keep getting off track. I need to talk about anarcho-monarchism. So, everyone pretty much agrees, except for the socialists and the fascists, everyone pretty much agrees that the 10th Amendment is a great thing. Everyone loves the 10th Amendment, right? It's a great idea. And I agree with that. Anarcho-monarchism is taking the idea of the 10th Amendment and putting it on steroids, just turning it up to 11. Now we have city-states instead of territorial states. So you think most states have 6 or 7 cities, and then the rural areas, which have a completely different political views, completely different political desires than a city, completely different political demands. So by separating the rural from the city, and then separating all of the cities from all of the other cities, the local political sovereignty explodes like you wouldn't believe. And then by getting rid of all of these busybody bureaucrats that don't do anything, that no one talks to, that no one interacts with, they don't have a relationship with the public, they don't have anything, they don't have a personality. It's this like really sterile, mediocre, like corporate aesthetic. There's nothing going on with any of these people, right? It's so soul crushing. It's as soul crushing as the society that they create. And we need some style, we need some pizzazz, we need some spark. Do you know what I'm saying? And we need some eccentricity. And a monarch is like the ideal for that eccentricity, right? He's like not afraid of what people are going to think of him. He's not afraid of the public opinion. Well, what is the public opinion? Everyone assumes that the public opinion is the sterile, mediocre, soul-crushing nonsense. That's what everyone assumes the public opinion is. But is it really true? Is that the truth? I hope not. I hope there is no public opinion. I hope the public opinion is a rainbow of individuals that are completely different from one another, that see reality in their own unique individual way. And then those individuals can self-segregate to their favorite kingdom, if they so choose, if that's important to them. But we need to give those individuals enough freedom, enough empowerment, enough prosperity, not only to move, but to be happy with where they're at, and to accept with where they're at, and to have the community, to have the connections with everyone around them, to live a fulfilled life, to get to the top of that Maslow hierarchy of needs pyramid, right? And if I wasn't fostering a world that maximizes the freedom and prosperity of the individual, then I would be a really shitty king, wouldn't I? Like, that's my job. My job is to do that. So, and I expect the same of all of you. I really do. I expect to take the average person off of the street, and if he was in my position, if he was in my seat, he could do at least a half of what I did, half of my quality, my job. He could achieve maybe 2/3 of what I did. Like, abolishing landlords, what an easy decision. What an unbelievably easy decision. It's like it's like playing t-ball and you miss. Oh, the Congress playing t-ball. He's swinging a miss. Like, come on. This is not hard. This is not rocket science. Do you want to have a kingdom where people are struggling? Do you want to have a kingdom where people are bitter and financially oppressed? No. What a terrible kingdom that would be. So make the correct decision. How hard is this? Really? What a silly notion. Like, I mean, if people give me credit and like give me praise for abolishing landlords, it's like writing 4 words on a sheet of paper. It took me 30 seconds, not even. And I know for a fact there's going to be all of these socialists and Marxists and fascists saying, oh, well, he's just destroying capitalism. That's why his system is good, because he's destroying capitalism. And I just implore all of you, please, 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 look up the definition of the word. The definition of the word is private, the private sector, private business. It says nothing about landlords. And I'm maintaining the stock system. I'm maintaining the bond system. In fact, I'm building the entire system with bonds, the foundation of capitalism. I'm going to the gold standard. I'm using Bitcoin. I have profits. I have markets. I have private industry. I'm encouraging private industry. I'm encouraging free market activity. I'm encouraging the commodity production, the construction of real estate, the sale of real estate, the development of real estate. Like, oh, so I got rid of landlords. Oh, it's like, so that's 5% of capitalism, and it's the worst. It's the ugliest part of capitalism. I'm cutting out the cancer. I'm cutting out the cancerous tumor that's growing on the back of capitalism. But I digress. I get off topic over and over and over again. I need to talk more about anarcho-monarchism because it's just something people don't understand. It's something people can't comprehend. Now, you have to understand the kingdom, the art of the kingdom, the business of the kingdom, the development of the city, the shape of the city, the feel of the city, the immigration of the city, all of these things will mold themselves around the monarch. They will mold themselves around the personality of the monarch, the taste of the monarch, the artistic taste, around the monarch's ideal, right? And so every single kingdom will have this like remarkable style, this remarkable individuality to it, which is so beautiful, and I can't wait to see. I can't, like, look at music videos, for an example, a great example. The artist of the song is the monarch that's creating that music video. Same thing with movies. The director is the monarch that is creating that video. What about restaurants? The restaurateur is the monarch that is creating that restaurant. And so we already live in an anarcho-monarchist society. We don't even know it. We don't have a clue, and yet it's all around us. Like, look at software. Software is a reflection of the consciousness that creates it. And video games, music, every single artistic endeavor, every single business endeavor is a reflection of the consciousness of the monarch who creates that institution, who creates that artwork. And anarcho-monarchism is simply a system that takes that phenomenon and brings it into the realm of government, brings it into the realm of infrastructure, brings it into the realm of culture, at least local culture. And don't you want a world where there are 100 or 500 or 1,000 like remarkable microcultures, and you can travel from one microculture to the next, possibly on like electric high-speed rail? Wouldn't that be amazing? What an amazing world that would be. Instead of some like tyrannical, conformist, matriarchal hellscape. Ugh, what? That's the alternative? Some tyrannical hell? Matriarchal hell? We've been living through that. You already know what that feels like in your soul. It feels like fear. It feels like anxiety. It feels like depression. Don't you want artistic expression? Don't you want to expand your wings and soar? I mean, one of the most coveted positions in anarcho-monarchism will be the artistic council in a given arcology. People are going to fight and struggle and tear their way up to that position. I promise you, artists will be the new rock stars because we have a whole lot of art that needs to be created. We have a whole lot of businesses that need to create that art. We have a whole lot, and scale too. Like this beautiful Amazon of artwork, this beautiful natural expanse of artwork already exists on a small scale. We already have an abundance of beautiful art, of beautiful expression on eBay, on Etsy, at the thrift store, at the mall, right? This is all, we already have this on a small scale. But arcology needs big scale artwork, massive scale artwork. and it's going to be expensive, and it's going to be a very big growth industry. Right now, once you hit, like, garden gnomes, then art kind of dies, right? Once you get above, like, a garden gnome, or maybe a statue, like, the scale of art kind of falls off a cliff. It kind of dies. And in arcology, the city itself is the work of art. The city itself is the canvas that everyone is going to paint on. It's going to be remarkable. It's going to be profound. I can't even imagine it. I cannot imagine at all what it's going to look like. And that's exciting. That's enticing to me. That makes me so excited to wake up tomorrow, to manifest the future, to create and develop this channel, and to try and get this idea into people's heads. And compare the artwork of socialism to the completely unfinished artwork of arcology. Like, socialism has brutalism. They named the architecture brutalism because it's brutal. It's as cold as stone. As cold as the socialist hearts that created it. And as gray as the socialist minds that created it. It is a depressing hellscape. In arcology, we will have color, we will have curves, we will have statues, we will have form, we will have meaning. We will be moved. We will be spiritually and emotionally moved just by walking around the city during the day, and then all over again at night when the colors and the highlights and the shadows and all of the, like, I have been meaning to make a mock-up of what arcology might look like at night. And it's really something that's on my back burner. I haven't really started yet because it's such a daunting thing. It's like the city is so big and I'm just one person. But I have 144,000th of the time of the rest of arcology. So 0.001% or whatever it is. But I'll give it a shot. I'll attempt it, and then use some ray tracing render engines on with the city, and that will be arguably the arcology at night is arguably going to be more beautiful than arcology during the most beautiful day you can imagine. And that's unbelievable because we have access to the strength of the lighting, we have access to the color of the lighting, we have access to the direction of the lighting. Everywhere we look, everywhere we turn. So arguably arcology will be more beautiful at night than it is during the day. And we're not fighting with some ugly, stale, orange glow everywhere. Just the same stale orange overhead everywhere you look. That's not what we're doing. We're doing the complete opposite of that. We're doing rainbows. We're doing shape. We're doing form. We are doing accents. We are highlighting our statues. We are highlighting our sculpture. We are highlighting the rest of the art that we create. The form, the meaning. And we're doing so with rich colors. So we're about 30 minutes in here. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to wrap up the video. So I just want to have you in your mind contrast the mood and goals and philosophy of anarcho-monarchism versus the rules and goals and philosophy of socialism and of Marxism. One wants freedom. The anarcho-monarchism wants freedom, wants individuality, wants sovereignty to the individual, wants a beautiful array of art and expression and fulfillment. And the hindsight, the opposite, socialism wants conformity. It wants silence. It wants power. It wants to destroy everyone and everything that stands in its way. It wants a disempowered individual who is impoverished, who is not allowed to speak, who is not allowed to express himself, who is not allowed to live his life to its fullest. He wants that individual enslaved. The socialist wants the individual enslaved, wants the individual working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, doing nothing, accomplishing nothing. He wants to break the soul of the individual so that he can rule over that broken individual. He wants to be the boot that stomps on that individual's face for the rest of time. And that gets the socialists' rocks off. That gets the fascists' rocks off. That gets the Marxists' rocks off. They don't have any other goal. They don't have any other vision. Their only goal is power. Their only vision is power. And their only tool to get that power is violence and taxation and counterfeiting money. So with all of that said, I implore you, I beg you, I plead to make the right decision about which future you want for yourself, for your children, and for your grandchildren. Thank you, and have a nice day.